Yeah, good evening, it's Charlie ZL2 CTM. Just wanted to make a brief video to look at, or to talk about some ideas for the next radio. I've got several business trips coming up over the next few months, so I'm sort of quite keen to make a start on some of the other radios which I really do want to make a start on. For example, I'm quite keen to make something I've always wanted to make, and that's a transmitter receiver radio. So rather than being a transceiver, it's a radio which is a standalone receiver and a standalone transmitter. It'd be based around, again, an SI5351 as the main VFO feeding both sides. Potentially two. I've got to put some thought into it. But I was quite keen to use two filters. So one filter for the receive side, so it'll be a filter radio, and then another filter for the transmit side. It'll be a generic 9 megs IF, and yeah, like I say, so a generic transmitter and receiver, 9 megs, and then the front end initially will be tuned for 80. But really, that's just a matter of what you want to put in terms of that sort of frequency selection at the front end. It'll be driven again by a little Pro Mini, nice and easy, cheap, easy to use. So look at using that. Another radio I do want to build, and I'll come back to this one, is a CW rig. Quite keen to, at some stage, build a CW. I need to get back into that and get the hand back into sending Morse, and I might combine that with a plan to build another portable radio. So in the past I've built portable radios around these Tupperware containers, different sizes. This is a small size, so I'm thinking about either using one of this volume or potentially going down to this, which will be reasonably small, with a little divider wall there between the transmitter and the receiver. So I'm sort of toying with the idea of potentially, when I do come to make that portable radio, is make that a CW one. So that is still on the cards, and something I do want to build in the near future. But for now, I think getting back to this radio here, it's something I've been wanting to build for a long time. Like I say, this sort of standalone receiver, which is sort of designed and I guess refined for receive, and then a standalone transmitter. Somehow potentially either sharing one oscillator or potentially two around the SI5351. Noting that typically for a single conversion receiver, for example, you'd need to have one for transmit in terms of the VFO signals, so, and then the BFO to get that down, their IF down to audio. And the SI5351 only has 3 clock outputs, so either I have two, one for the transmitter and one for a receiver, which is probably the way I'll go. I've got a few spare ones of these. These are relatively inexpensive. Like I say, wanting to make this again a crystal, so again, yeah, a filter type radio. So a filter dedicated for transmit and a filter dedicated for receiver. So not having to get in the game of using relays to share the filter between the transmitter and the receiver. In terms of the display, in the past I've used the small OLED display several times. It's a nice little display, but I've got to be honest, it does generate a reasonable amount of RF noise. Most of the time that noise is drowned out by the receiver, and you don't really notice it. But certainly if you disconnect the antenna, you can certainly hear a little bit of noise coming from this. So I think this time what I have got is one of these Nokia 5110 LCDs, which I haven't tried before. I have used these 2-line 16 by 2 LCDs. They are RF quiet. This one here has the IC2 back shield on it, which converts the I2C to parallel. Yep, these have been okay, but this is something I haven't tried before, so I'm going to try this, like I say, this Nokia 5110 display and see how quiet that is from an RF point of view. And we'll drive that from the Pro Mini. Hopefully we'll have enough spare pins on that. If we don't, then I'll have to go up to a slightly larger microcontroller board just to give me a few more I/O pins. For the front end, I want to go back to using this again. It was a little bit unusual, but I did find that tunable front end really useful. It allowed me to sort of peak that bandpass filter right across the whole band. Certainly for me here with the preference for the 80 meters, it's quite a large band, and this just allowed me to sort of peak it right across. So I think I might use that again. I quite enjoyed that. Now for the mixers, I got from a Chinese supplier these ADE-1s. Now, a bit of word of caution, these are very cheap to get sent in. These were $3 each. A word of caution, when you do buy these off those sorts of websites, make sure you're not getting an ADE-1-24. The -24 is a specific device that's been ordered by somebody who's manufacturing some kind of receiver or transmitter and has asked for some specific characteristics. This one here was sold as and is marked as just an ADE-1, so I'm hoping, I can't be sure, but I'm hoping that this will be per the spec form for that particular device. So that's a 7 dBm device. So basically I'll just treat that the same as the SBL1 in terms of the LO drive voltage for that. So yeah, it was a bit of a risk, but you know, $3 a pop, it wasn't a lot of money to outlay with free shipping to New Zealand, which was quite nice, just to see how they'll perform. If they do turn out to be fakes, or I shouldn't say fakes, but actually -24s, and they don't perform very well, then that's fine. I haven't lost much, but the plan will be to initially try that. For the receive AF amplifier, might try to make that low noise. So probably look to use the an NE5534 and an LM380N combination. That's worked well in the past for making quite a good high power, low noise audio frequency amplifier. And probably look to use the same NE5534 chip as the microphone amplifier. The other thing too I want to do with this radio is purely restrict it to the 2N3904 and the 3906. So 4 for the NPN. So no J310s and no other exotic, if you can call it that, BJTs. So I just want to keep a very generic transistor which is readily and easily available. So that's the plan, is to use throughout the radio that particular device. I do want to spend some time on the power amplifier. Probably spend quite a bit of time on that just to come up with some, well, just to basically have a good play around actually. Something else I got from the online supplier, and I have no idea if these are real, but they were very inexpensive, so you know, you get what you pay for. These are an IF 540N. Now the 540 is quite different from the 510. The input capacitance is quite high, so I suspect that these won't be very suitable for developing a power amplifier around. But hey, for the cost of I think half a cup of coffee for a bag of, was it 10 of them or so, I've got nothing to lose. So my plan is to have a play around with these. To be fair, I have not had any success at all with the IRF 510. I have turned a couple of those into a Claymore, and left a huge crater here, and all the material sort of flying out. I haven't quite mastered those yet, so yeah, we'll give it a go. I'm here to play around and try and learn as much as I can, so we'll see how well that performs. And I think that's pretty about it actually. So probably just base the microphone around an old Yaesu mic here, as opposed to an electret or any other kind of microphone. In terms of power, I want this to be a little bit more than just straight QRP, so I want a little bit more than 5 watts. How much more than that remains to be seen. The previous radio, which is the SDR radio, is still sitting on the shelf, and I'll pull that out in due course just to keep playing around with that. But I did want to make a start on this because I'm sort of conscious this year is marching on and there's things I want to get on and play around with. That one there, I was aiming for that sort of 20 watts plus, and there's no reason why this one here I wouldn't be aiming for something similar. Whatever. Certainly not 5 watts, something a little bit more than that would be nice. So we'll see what we can do there. So anyway, that's just a few ideas for the next radio. Apologies that I'm going to use commercial filters, but at the end of the day, you know, this is about me playing around and learning as much as I can. So I apologise for that, but that's what I'm going to use. Any questions, sing out. There were some suggestions from a couple of radios ago about using some packaged IF amplifiers. I am still trying to source those. So again, while I've been nice to have used it on this particular radio, this one I am going to sort of stick at this stage with the 3904 BJTs for the amplifiers. Rightio, well I've been rabbiting on now for 12 minutes, so you don't need to hear me talking much longer. Just want to make sure I haven't missed anything. So in terms of the receiver, we talked about the front end, we talked about the mixers. IF amps will be around 3904. We talked about the local oscillator will be 1 or 2, probably 2. SI5351s, which would be interesting because I haven't driven 2 simultaneously. So I just put some thought into that one. The other option is, which is what I might actually do, is actually have one SI5351 going into probably just a relay. In the past I have tried to play around with diode switching, but I found there was quite a bit of losses in that particular circuit, and by the time you add in all the DC isolations, allow the RF to go through and not get into the switching circuitry, honestly you might just go around with a double pole double throw or 2 single pole double throw relays. So I think this I'll probably do here. I'll have one SI5351, 2 small little relays, very low power required here, and then just switch that between the receiver and the transmitter for that. So that's probably the way I'll go. Anyway, so we talked about that. The AF amp will be based around that 5534 and the LM380, and then on transmit we'll use again the 5534 for the mic amp, the ADE1 for the modulator, and then stepping up at the end up to our desired RF, and then the power amp. Probably spend some time on that one. Not entirely sure how that's going to work out, but hey, we'll give it a go. Anyway, enough said. 73s, and we'll start melting some solder and start putting a bit of design work in. Cheers all.